Watching this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Everyone's favorite insect-using ninja Shino has been infected by the mysterious and evil dark purple Chakra, and he's going on a rampage as he tries to hunt down Boruto, Shikadai, and the brand new student Mitsuki. Will he be able to defeat these students, or will he end up looking like a chump? You know what really bugs me about this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? The fact that when the evil dark Chakra takes over a younger, inexperienced ninja, it makes them really powerful. But then when you take a real classic character like the series like Shino, and he gets infected with this dark purple Chakra, he ends up losing half of his actual power and a lot of his abilities, and it just makes him look like kind of a weakling in this episode. Hell, they even say at the very end that if it wasn't for the Dark Chakra actually taking over Shino, he probably would have been able to actually kill them. And that's just ridiculous. Shino is one of the most devastatingly powerful and disturbing characters from the series, and he's known for his ability to track down people and use his bugs in a number of different ways. Here, in this episode, he basically just transforms them into a giant swarm of death. Basically, take Gaara's sand and replace it with bugs, except that this time, the bugs are not as powerful as they used to be. There's actually a scene where you see the bugs boring and ripping through a tree, eating it, and just turning it into absolute nothing. And then there's a scene later on where Boruto, half of his body is covered in the bugs, he's wiping them away with his bare hands, and Mitsuki actually just blows them away with a wind-styled technique, and he has nary a scratch on his body. His lower half should basically be a skeleton at this point, but for some odd reason, the bugs have lost their ability to eat through clothes and human skin, but will turn a damn giant tree into a toothpick! Okay, first off, calm down. This wasn't a completely terrible episode of Boruto by any stretch of the means. In fact, there were a lot of things that I actually really liked about this episode. Most of those things involved the character of Mitsuki, but still, I have to say that I was a little disappointed by Shino in this episode. That being said, there was a lot of imagery in this one that I think is just going to haunt my nightmares forever. Like, how about that one shot where they do that close-up of Shino's face, and you get to see all of the bugs coming out from underneath his Star Trek mask, when suddenly you see this one bug, which is quite literally eating its way through his skin and then coming out, and you get to see this stream of blood going down his face. That was just straight up fucked up and really damn awesome. The rest of the episode, however, is basically just the characters running around and trying to figure out how they're going to stop Shino, with Boruto and Shikadai trying to figure out how they can just escape with their lives, and Mitsuki coming up with the brilliant plan of just killing him, because why the hell not? This whole episode basically is to show Mitsuki that there are other alternatives than just straight up defeating your opponents or killing them. You can actually defeat someone without actually having to take their life. And this is something that has a pretty massive impact on his character by the end of the episode, and you can see a lot of that is due to Boruto, who's inherited a lot of these influences from his father. That we get to see some pretty interesting teaming up techniques with the characters, them using their shadow clones, and of course Mitsuki utilizing his various different nature elements, such as wind, lightning, and of course his special ability to elongate his arms, basically turning them into snakes. Which makes perfect sense as he is the son of Orochimaru, but it is a little strange how there's a few scenes in the episode where Shino knows when a clone is coming for him, but he can't tell that there's someone who's underneath him in the water. It's little moments like that that sort of just take me out of the episode, although it is really cool that they were all able to work together, and there was a great scene where Mitsuki actually manages to stop Shino and save him, but then he starts drowning, but then Boruto jumps in and then he starts drowning, and then Shino realizes that he fucked up and then he jumps in and saves the day. It's just a little strange, but it does have its exciting moments to say the least, but I'd say it's very obvious at this point that the power levels are all over the frickin' place. It's just whack. I do like the fact that the episode did end with a scene with Naruto acting as the 7th Hokage and acknowledging that something really weird is going on in the village and it's something that they are going to have to investigate. Another thing that's good about this episode is that Boruto is finally talking about the fact that he can see this dark purple chakra, and people are wondering, like, how is this even possible? Dude's mom is from the Hyuga clan. Of course he has the ability to see, like, the chakra strains and all like the shit inside of people's bodies. Of course he can see that stuff. Do people not go to ninja school in this world? So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? I'm probably coming across like the fact that I didn't like this episode at all. Actually, far from it. I did enjoy this episode a lot. It was just great to see Shino in action again and be reminded of why he's such a devastatingly powerful ninja, and the fact that his abilities are just creepy as hell. Not to mention, we actually got to see some new stuff from him in this episode. When he actually saves both Mitsuki and Boruto from drowning, he actually does it with the power of one of his summons, which is this weird, freaky-ass looking beetle thing. I don't know. The only good bug is a dead bug. Kill this thing with the power of frickin' Rico and the Starship Troopers. It's a weird, freaky summon, but I wanted to see a little bit more from it. But this episode, you're just going to have to suspend your disbelief that Shino does not have the ability to kill a couple of inexperienced ninja children. You can chalk it up to plot armor or whatever you want to do, but still, there's no doubt in my mind that Shino would have any problem wanting to kill these kids if he really wanted to. And apparently it's this dark purple chakra that's the cause of all of this, which is still, I think, the most interesting element of the series thus far. I can't wait to see why this thing even exists in the first place, and why it seems to be targeting people seemingly at random. Maybe not at random. It seems like all of these events are tied to actually Boruto himself, so maybe it is actually going to be going after him, whatever the hell this weird creature/monster is. I'm also intrigued to see if it actually does seem to have a connection to Mitsuki. Maybe it's in a failed experiment of Orochimaru, and Mitsuki is just there to do some cleanup. I'm very interested in all of that. And the concept of Mitsuki constantly bringing up the fact that Boruto is going to be his son, maybe the son to his moon? I don't know. I do know that despite the fact that this episode sort of broke some of the rules of the series and the power levels are all over the frickin' place, it still managed to be a pretty entertaining episode of the series with some really great imagery attached to it, some pretty decent animation, some pretty cool action scenes, but it just left a lot to be desired. And, you know, Shino just always seems to get the short end of the stick. This is a character that in the movies of Naruto could take down like an entire freaking armada by himself, but he can't capture 3 freaking kids in the woods. It's a little strange, and you think he'd be, like, in his element there. The fact that he can control insects and so many of them at one time, and he only seems to be using, like, one variety of them in this episode. It's all just a little strange. What's even stranger is still getting to see scenes with Anko as well. I still can't believe that Kishimoto has decided to essentially turn her into a fatty. I don't know. It is really funny. I mean, she's always been a fan of her sweets, but every single time they bring her in, I'm always, like, reminded, oh yeah, that's Anko. She's gone through some pretty big freaking changes. And the whole series is going through some changes, apparently, as we're basically restarting the next big Naruto adventure with some new characters, and of course some liberties are going to be tossed right out the window in order to breathe a little bit of fresh air into the series. Unfortunately, it does come at the cost of making you suspend your disbelief. So, I bitched most of this review, but really this wasn't a terrible episode. It was really just kind of an average one, which is why I'm going to give this episode a 3 out of 5. It's something that I think all Naruto fans and even the new Boruto fans definitely need to check out at least once. But most importantly, I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Boruto in the comments section below. I didn't really care for this episode, but I would love to hear from you guys. Did you actually like it? Did you have some of the same issues that I had with the episode? What is the deal with this dark purple chakra, and what does it have to do with that weird, creepy summon? Tell me your theories and what you hope to see from the rest of the Boruto anime series. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Boruto, Naruto related. Make sure to leave me a comment telling me what you thought about this week's episode, and I'm always down for a good conversation with you guys. Any questions that you have or things you want to talk about. And of course, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It's real easy to do and it helps out our videos a lot. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay Dandel, baby!